Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another championship prediction video. How are we all doing out there? It is New Year's Eve as we speak. Welcome to the channel, Ole. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the video, Ole. How are you doing, mate?
Yes, I'm not bad. Thank you very much, Nick. Happy New Year in advance. Obviously, I'm sure we've all got exciting things to do this evening. I know you've got really big plans, haven't you, Nick?
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna pop my beer, get it open, get it poured, because this is about as exciting as my night is going to be. So there you go. Let us know what you're doing in the comments right now. But I'm having a BrewDog IPA, and you're going to drink some deodorant. You said off camera, didn't you?
Yeah, I've got my my show for men. Looks delicious. I'm really looking forward to getting on that. I didn't know we were going to have a beer prepared. Otherwise, I would have, of course, joined you.
The reason why I didn't tell you is because I thought if Ollie is my sort of guy, he'll already have a beer prepared on New Year's Eve, but it's not my sort of guy.
No, I've let the team down. I've let the channel down. I've let everybody down. I can only apologise.
I'm only joking, man. I'm joking. You are my type of guy. Anyway, let's have a look. Let's get into this video. But actually, no. Before we get into it, do you want to just... we've had a bit of breaking news, haven't we?
Oh, we have indeed. Sorry. Yeah, I looked at you then.
I thought that's what we were doing at the start of every championship predictions video. We come out with some breaking news.
And the breaking news this time is ELLIS SIMMS has obviously been recalled from Sunderland, gone back to Everton, which is really interesting. I think that's a really difficult one. Sunderland obviously have started motoring, been in great form. And I think ELLIS SIMMS is a big part of that. He missed a lot of the season injured. So they get him back fit. He's firing. They're up to fourth in the league. And then Everton pull the legs out from under him. That's a massive loss. I think he's a fantastic player. You know, if they want to loan him out again, I'm sure we might be interested.
Yeah, it almost feels like a bit, not quite as much as Morgan Gibbs-White last year, but we were really nervous about Wolves pulling Morgan Gibbs-White back and us being gutted. So, yeah, it's not great for them. It's probably good for everybody else in the championship. But, yeah, I don't want to see it. I want to see a really good championship, everybody playing at top gear. And unfortunately, that is going to affect Sunderland in a big way.
Yeah, it's a massive loss for them, but I don't think they're the only ones who are going to be affected. You know, Everton have got two strikers out, or did have, obviously, ELLIS SIMMS, and I think it's Broadhead who's at Wigan. And there are lots of rumours that he might also soon be recalled. His contract's up in 6 months. The rumours are that Everton are going to look to sell. It's an interesting time, to be honest. It's difficult to know what's going to happen with some of these loans. Obviously, United themselves have got a bit of a debate on what goes on with Reda Kadra. Going to be a weird January.
Yeah, that one we're not as bothered about, are we really?
Well, no, but it's still a debate.
Yeah, it's always a debate. Absolutely. Anyway, let's get into this. Let's talk about results. Because, Ollie, I've put a lovely little number at the bottom because every week we go, right, Nick got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 6. So this time I've put the number at the bottom. As you can see on screen right now, both me and Ollie both got 7 points. Both for the first time ever got our bankers correct. Not bang on, but we got them correct. So we both get 2 points there. So as you can see on screen, we both got 7 points. And that means that there is a new second and third place. First time in about 16 weeks that Ollie's been second.
Yep, I've been having an absolute shocker. I have been a long way behind, but thankfully I had one really good week that coincided with you having a bit of a stinker, and that was enough to get me back on top last week and just maintaining that very small lead I've got. Very nice to see.
It is the tiniest leads of anyone's ever seen, really. Let's be honest. By the way, I've had a few to drink already, so if I stumble on a few words, that is probably why. Anyway, let's get straight into this, mate, and let's talk about the very first game, which is Blackburn Rovers versus Cardiff City. How are you seeing this one going? Because Blackburn somehow is still third in the table.
Yeah, it's weird. They're a weird side, obviously not on a fantastic run of form, not doing fantastically well at the moment, and yet are keeping themselves somehow in third place. Nobody seems to really want to come and take them. Nobody's really trying to take that spot. Nobody's trying to force them out of the way. And bizarrely, Blackburn still haven't drawn. They did all right against Borough, 1-1, I think, at the time. And then they got a ridiculous red card, which is a big loss for them with Buckley. Cardiff got a decent draw against Coventry. I think they've drawn every game since the World Cup. And it's a team that can't draw against a team that only draws. And at some point, Blackburn will draw. And I think I need to go out on a limb and say that I will predict this draw every week until they get it. I think this is the 1-1-1.
Do you know what? A lot of people agreeing with you there. Sheffield United, FTV. Also, Lewis as well. Both gone for 1-1s. Also, Wayne has gone for a 1-1-2. I'll pop it up on screen. There it is. I've gone for a 2-1 Blackburn because I think this is where the tide turns. They are at home after all. They're still third in the table somehow. Cardiff are way down the table. Logically, this has to be a home win. You would think, but like I said, Blackburn's not been very good recently.
Logic doesn't matter in the Championship, Nick.
Oh, I thought you were going to throw in a banker then, to be honest, when you went closer.
No.
No, not for this one.
No. I'm not banking on a Blackburn draw. Come on, Nick.
No, you definitely shouldn't do either. Another Blackburn 1-1. I think Tim has seen yours and thought, Ollie is the prediction master. I must go with a 1-1. Let's move on to Blackpool versus Sunderland. Now, Sunderland are flying at the moment, and obviously I've put as the title of the video, Sunderland annihilated Wigan, and they did 4-1 away from home. If you're going to win by 3 goals away from home, you've had a good shift.
Oh, yeah. It's a fantastic result, that. It's obviously shown that they've got a lot of goals in the team. Obviously, we've already touched upon, though, them losing ELLIS SIMMS, which is big, but I don't think it's going to affect this game. Blackpool, defensively, I thought were a bit of a shambles against United. I thought both goals, their defence, just seemed to part and let us have all the time.
I was just going to say open up completely.
Literally just like, oh, United are going to try and come through the middle. Well, we'll just move out of the way and let them try it. So I think that Sunderland will probably punish them in the same way United will. They're up to 4th in the table. They're riding a wave and they're going to continue doing that. I'm going 3-1.
3? What are you throwing it in really early? I didn't even chance to put any scores up on screen, but here we go. So we've got a 2-1, a 2-1 Sunderland again, a 2-1 Sunderland again.
Ooh,
there's just so many 2-1s. Appleton sacked as well.
The Appleton sacked, I don't think's a bad shout. I think he's starting to fall out with the crowd. I know a few weeks ago he was getting a lot of stick for not going and applauding the crowd at the end. Any of the Blackpool fans I've spoken to are really not happy at the moment. It sounds though it is becoming a bit of a shambles. And I think Appleton might be on his way. Yeah,
there you go. Good shout. There we go. And we've both gone for Sunderland winning by 2 goals. It could easily be more, though. It really could.
Easily.
Yeah, easily. Now, let's move on to Coventry City versus Bristol City. And what does that mean, Ollie?
It's a battle of the cities.
It's a battle of the cities, yes. Eventually, somebody in the comments will write Battle of the Cities, and I'll be like, yes, we finally got through to people. But what are you expecting from this game, mate?
It's a weird one. I'm not really sure. I think before the World Cup, I thought Coventry were the one team who were going to come back, really kick on, and really cement their place as a playoff team. But it's 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses for them. I think that news about Mike Ashley and the stadium and all that has really affected them. And that makes it really tough to predict how they're going to get on. But Bristol City are rubbish. I'm just going to go out there and I'm just going to say it that bluntly. Bristol City are rubbish. They've got 1 win in 9, and that were against Rotherham, who, spoiler alert, are also not very good at the minute. And therefore, I think Coventry are a better team. They might have a bit of a wobble in this game, but I think they will win. Wayne knows it's going to be 2-1 to Coventry in the Battle of the Cities.
Right, okay, let me pop it up on screen. Sharon, we'll have to wait just a second. There we go. I've gone for a 2-0 Coventry win. You've gone for a 2-1 Coventry win. So, yeah. We're both in agreement. I'll pop Sharon's. Do you want to talk back to Sharon for a second, Ollie?
Of course, yeah. She had a fantastic week. To be honest, we didn't actually cover off how the viewers had done at the start.
No, we didn't.
Of course, something just to quickly catch up on. And I'll just run through those very quickly. We had a couple of people who had fantastic week 25s. That was Pete Day and SUFC Tobe. They got 13 points apiece. But one thing that we had promised, Nick, is that we would go back and look at those Tuesday night results that we missed. And Shaz, on that Tuesday night, got a perfect banker, which meant that we actually had a 4-way tie at the top of our leaderboard when we looked at the scores this week. You got Pete on 14. SUFC Toby ended up on 14. Mike Price got 2 perfect Tuesday night scores, got to 14, which I think means that he's been at the top of our leaderboard every week since the World Cup and getting high teen scores. It's insane. And then, of course, Shaz joins them on 14 points, getting double what we got and clearly very much wanting to rub it in.
There you go. Absolutely. And Happy New Year, Shaz. Happy New Year. Let's move on to Huddersfield versus Luton Town. And what's this, Ollie?
A battle of the towns.
It's a battle of the towns.
We don't get many battles of the towns, do we?
You don't get many of them, do you? Are these the only towns in this whole league?
Depends if we count Rotherham.
It's not a town. Well, yeah, it's a town, but it's not in. It's not in the name. It's not in the name, so it's not a town. Yeah, Huddersfield Town starting to pick up a few points, which is nice to see. We always want to see. We always want to see Yorkshire teams do well, other than Wednesday, Leeds, maybe even Barnsley at times. But yeah, we want to see Yorkshire teams stay in the division that we're in, just in case we don't go up. And yeah, it's not too far to travel.
Yeah, no, and they've been on a roll, actually, Huddersfield. I think it's 2 wins in a row. Ever since I made a very public statement of saying they have no goals in the squad. They've got 4 goals in 2 games and back-to-back wins. So that shows just about that I know what I'm talking about. But they're now back within touching distance of safety. I think this one personally is a game too far. Luton themselves have put together 2 fantastic wins against big playoff rivals for them, Norwich and QPR. So yeah, I think Luton are a better side. I think they'll win this, but I think things are looking a lot better for Huddersfield than they were maybe just a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to go 2-0 Luton.
Yeah, fair enough. It's going a lot better for Huddersfield, but you're not giving them a chance in the slightest. Fair enough.
No, not even a little bit.
No, not even a little bit. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. I think that Huddersfield are going to use those few good results and they are going to get a point out of this game. But Luton was certainly impressive the other night against QPR. They were that 3rd goal as well. Oh, absolutely perfection. And they are flying at the moment. So yeah, Rob Edwards is doing one hell of a job. Anyway, let's move on to
really just to touch on Rob Edwards just before we move on. It's quite funny, really, that obviously
touch on Rob Edwards. He might not want you to.
Oh, well, come on, Rob. You're an attractive guy. I'm.
It took you a while to work that out. Then I could tell.
Yeah, it's a weird one, but obviously they will potentially, if they win against Huddersfield, be above Watford, which is quite funny, given that they gave Rob Edwards a total of about 10 games, sacked him off as if he was a complete has-been, and he's then going to take their rivals, potentially, to a higher finish than them. I think there's every chance. I think Luton look a decent side.
That is brilliant. I would love to see it. Are they rivals? Are they that close?
Yeah. Apparently. Oh. I've heard rumours that they're rivals.
We don't know. We're too northern for all that rubbish.
We are.
Yeah. So Millwall against Rotherham United. Your favourite team. Millwall, that is, not Rotherham United. How are they going to fare in this game?
My favourite team. And to be honest, all of my prediction here is not really much to do with Millwall at all. You know, they've struggled to beat Bristol City last time out. And for me, that's a really poor result at home. But Rotherham are in big, big trouble. You know, they've been hit by injuries. I think Ben Wiles picked up a big injury the other day and might be done for the season, which is huge for them. That's just such a massive loss. They've seemed to have lost that fight, lost that battle. They seem to be getting rolled over. They've lost their last 2 away games, 3-0 and 2-0. And I just think they're on for another hiding to nothing. I'm really thinking that Rotherham are going to struggle and it's going to be a long second half of the season. I'm going 3-0 to Millwall. And it is indeed, Nick, my banker.
Oh, wow. Okay. Exciting. Very, very exciting. It's fair enough. You've gone for a 3-goal swing to Millwall. So I can understand why that is your banker. I've just gone for a cheeky 1-0. I think that Rotherham are going to shut up shop, but I think Millwall are going to have just enough to see this game through. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about... Oh, no. Oh, no. It's giving it away straight away. Do you know why that is? Because it didn't add the first graphic in. Devastated. But as you can see on screen right now, we've both gone for Middlesbrough continuing to fly up the league. Out of everybody in the Championship, I am the most worried about Middlesbrough.
In terms of
them catching us.
Interesting.
They are flying. Do you not
They
think
are
they're flying?
absolutely flying. They're on a fantastic run since Carrick came in. I think they've won 5 of the last 6, and the only team that's beaten is Burnley. So certainly they are flying. They have. If there are some teams in the league that obviously Middlesbrough are brilliant, and they could catch United if we manage to throw away that many points lead.
We can do
Then
it. If anyone can
we
do
are.
it, we can do it, Ollie.
Yeah, it is. It'd be a United special. I personally, if they catch us, then
It's a lot of
know,
points.
I'm done, Nick.
It's a lot of points, but there's still a lot of games to play. Still half a season pretty much to play.
There are, and I thought that Middlesbrough were going to be a good side. Obviously, from the start, I predicted them to be a fantastic team that were going to win the league. But it's
you thought that was going to be under Chris Wilder. That's the difference.
I literally pinned my entire hopes on Chris Wilder. They've sacked him, and suddenly they look like the team I thought they were going to be. So it's interesting how football works. But this one, I think, is going to be a great game. I think that this has the potential to be really exciting. Birmingham, I think they went 3 up in 35 minutes against Reading in the first game back. And since then, in 2.5 games, they've conceded 6 and not scored any. But I think, one thing they have got on their side, I think they are the team with the best record in the opening 15 minutes of games. Might have changed, obviously, after they conceded very, very early against Burnley. But I think they've got it in them to have a really flying start here. They're going to want to try and get some results on the board, try and score some goals after such a bad run. And then Borough are going to come back at them, and then Borough are going to beat them.
There you go. That's all you needed to know. Now let's move on to talking about what a lot of people probably thought was going to be the game of the season. Probably the top 2 or the top 3 in this game. Norwich City versus Watford. And they are both absolutely horrendous. They are both disgusting to watch. However, I'm throwing my banker in this game. You weren't ready for that one, were you?
How can you... I have a saying, Nick, and you'll remember my saying, which goes, Watford, innit?
Yeah.
I would never risk a banker on Watford. Never again. I did it once. It was a disaster. I'm not going anywhere. I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole, Nick.
Well, it's definitely not Watford that I'm going for in this banker. It is Norwich.
But how do you know which side of them is going to turn up?
Mate, it's literally, this is one of the hardest to call game weeks in a long time, I think. Last week's was difficult, but this week's I think is even harder. So that's the reason why I've gone for Norwich. And you also stared at me exactly the same way when I said West Brom banker to beat Preston. And look what happened.
Yeah, true. You're not wrong. I did give you the same look. I'm going to continue giving you that look because I think you've gone insane. I think we can tell that you've had them beers.
Yeah, I actually came up with this fantastic idea with no beers in my body. So blame Sober Nick, not Drunk Nick.
Sober Nick's had a shocker. But you're not wrong. This is 2 teams in a bit of a crisis. We thought they'd probably be the top 2. And actually 2 defeats in a row for Watford, no winning 3 for Norwich. And they're a hell of a long way back now. I think they're both going to go all out for it. I think we've seen that Watford can't defend. They shipped 4 literally just last night. So there's every chance there's lots of goals. But I think Watford have got it in them to score goals as well. Ismail Assar hasn't really turned up. Neither has Keenan Davis. But they will do at some point because they're great players. And I'm going for a really, really exciting draw.
Yeah, you are. And I'm going for Norwich absolutely turning them over. I think Watford are terrible right now and won't score a goal and will concede 2. I think Norwich are on a sort of upwards sort of that trajectory, but I think that they're going to nick one early on, and then I think they're going to take the game really, really late into a 2-0 win. Let's move on to Stoke City versus Preston North End. Now, Preston, would you say they're your 3rd team?
No.
No, fair enough.
No, I wouldn't. Preston are a weird team, though. They're one of them that are so hard to predict. They're a good away team. They are, I think they've got the joint second best record in the league away from home. But then, they've now lost 3 on the spin. They've got to do something to turn this around. Stoke were pretty good against Burnley, but I've just said that I don't like Preston, but I fancy him for this on nothing but gut feel and vibes. I'm going for an away win, mate, and I think it'll be 1-0.
This whole series is my gut feel and vibes. Come in with all these stats and figures and stuff, and I'm like, they'll probably win. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, gut feel and vibes.
It's all about gut feel and vibes, mate. And yeah, there you go. It's on screen right now. You're going for a Preston 1-0. I'm going
The
for
famous.
the famous Preston 0-0. And if I get a correct score on this one, you are going to be devastated. That's
I'll be fuming.
mainly the reason why I've gone for it.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, we looked at that league table at the start, I'm 1 point ahead. The majority of my points have come from predicting Preston 0-0. I got so many points doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And me and Charlie Brown are like that. 2-1, 1-0 Stoke, 1-0 Stoke. Another really, really difficult one to predict. Who knows?
It is, it's tough.
Yeah, it really is. And Alex Neil, I bet he's thinking this was a really, really good idea to leave Sunderland and go and manage Stoke. Anyway, yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about two teams that, well, one team that's absolutely flying and one team that flew very, very high in their last game. Swansea City, Swans pun. There you go. Flying. You can't see me do that, can you? Flying.
No, your arms aren't in shot.
No, they're not. I'm like this, and you can't see anything.
Look, Swansea, it's a fantastic win they had. They absolutely battered Watford. But before that, they had not won in 8 games. That is probably an indication of how bad Watford are. So maybe your banker's not that bad a shout. But to me, it's another big home game. You get 2 really big home games in a row. You get a fantastic result in the first one. The momentum carries you forward. Look, Burnley are the best team in the league, but they weren't at their best last night. They've ground out a win, which is a great thing for them. It keeps them top of the league, keeps them moving. But for me, predicting them, I think that's maybe a sign that some of these games are coming a bit too quick for them. They're always playing late and then catching. And I think they've got a draw in them. I think they're finally going to drop some points. I think it's going to be 1-1 because this is a tough away game.
Yeah, I've been thinking that for a while. I think Swansea are going to ride that 4-0 wave and they're going to somehow come out on top and they're going to win this game. But yeah, I've been thinking for weeks that Burnley are going to eventually drop points. They're going to pick up injuries. I don't think they've got the biggest of squads either. I think they've got a very, very good first 11, 13, something like that. But they haven't got the squad depth that we've got. And loads of injuries, and we really, really struggled. So I think a few injuries and they could start to crumble a little bit. But we'll have to see. 2 away games on the spin for Sheffield United, 2 away games on the spin for Burnley. If we both come away with 6 points, that is going to be crazy. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to West Brom versus Reading. And I didn't go for West Brom as my banker this week because Reading just seemed to pick up points from nowhere. And they did it again at Carrow Road.
Yeah, just weird Reading because I don't know what to think of them, to be honest. Obviously, they had a fantastic start where they were absolutely flying. Then it felt as though the wheels had come off a little bit, but they're still comfortably a very decent side. They're probably a mid-table side, but in this current championship, mid-table is apparently 2 points away from finishing third and 10 points. Oh, well, about 5 points away from going down. It's so congested in that middle bit. But I think that West Brom are a better team. I think they're absolutely flying since Corberan's come in. They're 1 point off the playoffs. I've got a bit carried away with goals, I think, this weekend. Not as carried away as Ryan has. I picked the perfect timing to say that. I was like, I've got carried away with goals while he predicted 17-13. But I actually think this will be a good game. I think West Brom are a better team, and I think they'll win it 4-2 in an entertaining game. But West Brom are a good side.
4-2, you 4-2. Silly sausage. It's never going to be 4-2. And you are more than welcome to clip that if it ends up being 4-2. But I've gone for a 2-0. Very, very steady West Brom win. Anyway, let's move on to Wigan against Hull City. And Wigan can't buy points at the moment, can they, bless them?
Wigan are in trouble. Wigan are in a right mess. This is a huge game for them. They'll have got their eye on this. They'll have said, when Toure comes in, maybe we've got a difficult start, but we need to start picking up points, starting with Hull at home. But injuries have just absolutely torn their defence apart. I think I saw another one went off last night. I think they had Ryan Nyambe playing centre-half at one point. Now, don't get me wrong, I rate Ryan Nyambe. I think he's quite good, but he ain't a centre-half. And for me, that's a real worry. Hull got a great result, They beat Birmingham. I think they're unbeaten since the international break for the World Cup. They generally only get 1 goal a game, but against this Wigan defence, I think everybody's going to be able to score goals, particularly my favourite player, Oscar Estupinian. So I fancy a Hull win, and I think they'll get it 2-0.
Right, there we go. I've popped it up on screen. 0-0 I've gone for. Like you say, Hull City don't score a lot of goals, but I think that Wigan might just have it in them to finally pick up a point as well as a Penguin, and get their first point in 3 games or 4 games if you include this one. So that's what I've gone for. Let's move in to QPR versus Sheffield United. And QPR at one point were going for top 2, and now Ole, they are a terrible. I'm going down the league. Like, where are they? We're 13. I thought they were 10th, 13th in the league. What's happened to them?
Yeah, I think all of that drama around Mick Beale has really, really affected their squad. You know, first of all, it was, oh no, I'm really loyal, I'm staying. And then they had a downturn in form anyway. Then he left. You know, it's been really tough for Critchley coming in. He's not had an easy start. I think away from home, they have managed to pick up some points, but at home, I think it's played 2, lost 2, conceded 6 since Critchley came in. That's a terrible record, and they really need to do something to turn that around if they're not going to continue to tumble down the division while other teams are just getting better, it seems, in that chase for the playoffs. But United are on great form. We keep winning, but I think if you dig beneath the surface, those performances aren't anything special. I think second halves in particular, we've been slowing down, we've been under pressure, we've been grinding out results without being overly impressive. And at some point, that does catch up with you. You either need to go out and dominate a game, or it's going to bite you on the backside and you end up dropping points. I think this is one that will bring us a little bit back down to earth. I think it'll be a draw. I don't think QPR have quite got it in them to win, even though they're a very good side. I think 1-1, United to take the lead and throw it away in the second half.
Yeah, that's what United are usually like in other seasons, but this season we just seem to be winning. Our away form is better than our home. Well, we've got more points away from home than we have at home. But
Best team in the league away from home, aren't we? Technically.
Yeah, well, I think we've got a game in hand at home. But our away form has been fantastic, and we've just kept winning. So I've gone for a win here. I've almost called each week that we play away from home a draw because I am just not confident enough. But we just keep winning games of football, and I watched QPR get battered by Luton, as in, like, obviously 3-0.
Yeah.
They had a lot of the ball, QPR, but didn't do a hell of a lot with it. We'll have to see what happens. Obviously. Yeah. Well, we're flying, QPR are falling. So that's what I've gone for.
I hope you're right.
Me too, mate. Me too. Anyway, let's leave it there because this has been quite a lot longer New Year's Eve show. So if you all want to go out there and have a great time, have a load of drinks on me. If you don't want to drink, you don't have to drink, but I would suggest a drink anyway. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. Thank you, Ollie, as always. And we will see you tomorrow for the match preview. See you next week.